Job seekers ask me all the time, why aren't my connections responding to me? I said, what are you saying? And they say, I want jobs.
Yeah.
No. Don't do that.
There's a lot of different ways to approach networking. I like to think of it simply as a matter of starting conversations.
So I'm thinking of myself as a business owner. How do I not pitch slap people? We don't want to do that. And you start human first.
It's really important when you're talking to people to just listen. We all want to kind of sell ourselves a little bit because we're trying to find a job or a new client or whatever it might be. It's so important just to listen.
Welcome to Primal HR. Real people, real talk, real HR. The human side of work from the people who live it every day. Here are your hosts, longtime HR leader Terry Smith and People First strategist Leslie Lulham.
Hey everyone, I'm Terry, and with me is Leslie. We are the co-hosts of Primal HR. If you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. If you're following up on the last few episodes, welcome back. In our last episode, we talked about networking. We started to talk about networking, and we wanted to continue that because we both realized in between episodes that, hey, there's probably a lot of ground to cover there, and particularly with networking being that kind of word that brings the temperature in the room down by about 15 degrees whenever somebody says it.
I'd rather get a root canal.
Exactly. So, having said all that, let's talk about networking.
Terry and I were just talking about being extroverted introverts. I don't know many people who really love networking. There are a few. They live and die by this. I am glad that they are out there because they're the ones that you want to find when you're networking, and they're going to pull you in. But being out there, talking to strangers, networking online, networking on LinkedIn, it feels awkward. It feels icky. Trust me, I do it for a living. Mm-hmm. And I still get the heebie-jeebies when I'm sending stuff out to people. You have to get over it. I like Nike. Just do it. Just do it. The more you do it, the better it's going to feel most of the time. But Terry and I here can give you some practical tips. How do you navigate this situation, especially when you're someone like me who would quite frankly rather be at home being a burrito? It's practice. It's like a muscle.
It is. And that's a great way of describing it. It's like a muscle. You have to exercise it. You have to work. You have to practice. But it's also important to understand, too, that it's not insurmountable by any means. There's a lot of different ways to approach networking. I like to think of it simply as a matter of starting conversations. When I go to a networking event, I think of it in terms of just saying hello to somebody. And that's really all you have to think about when you're starting this process, or even in the middle of the process. It's just a matter of saying hello, seeing somebody that you say, hey, my name's Terry. Nice to meet you, Leslie.
Exactly.
And then from there, you start a conversation. And that's an easy thing to say, start a conversation. Oh, okay. But it comes down to simply saying hello and how are you and what brings you here tonight? Or, how did you come to know about this particular networking event or what have you? And I have found in my own experience that works a lot.
I read a couple of articles months ago about networking because I'm very interested in the psychology of it too. And this article was talking about how do you be successful at an in-person networking event. There are a couple different types, I think, and Terry and I have gone to both. The big, huge, couple hundred people networking events. Personally, those are not my favorite. I prefer a smaller form, 10 to 20, 25, 30 people. You can kind of spend more time with each person. When you're in the large format networking, you feel like you're like just slanging your business cards, if you still use those.
I do.
But it's a QR code. I'm doing both. What do? No one at those events typically wants to be the first person to start talking. So you can immediately stand out from the crowd by just walking up to somebody and saying, hi, I'm Leslie.
Yeah.
That's easy. Also, if you are less of a go walk up to strangers and stick your hand out and shake a hand, which that takes some getting used to if you're very new to networking. Tip: go stand by the bar, go stand by where the snacks are, and people will literally walk to you. You
Yes,
can
they
just
will.
sit there, and then you can be like, oh, this snack is good. Trust me, everyone wants someone to talk to about something real. Snacks, immediate bonding. I'm going to say it. I mean, that's where you're going to find me. Free food, I'm in. But putting yourself in the higher traffic areas that isn't the door. Don't be the person blocking the door.
Right.
But it's easier to start talking to people because their guard is also down when they're getting a drink. They're getting ready to talk to the bartender or the server, and you can slide right in and open up a really human conversation. And I think that's something we should both dig into, is being human when you're networking. I have a story, a LinkedIn story. I think that will kind of help launch us into this next phase of conversation. And I was reaching out to folks to pitch one of my companies to. And if you've started a company or you're in a marketing or a sales role, you know that on LinkedIn all day long, all that happens is you get these really awful canned messages sent to you where maybe they don't even have your first name. It's like, hi, space, comma. And you're like, well, they didn't even put in a placeholder for there. Like, this is great. And then they reference something you've probably never done before, and they send you way too much information, and I don't read them. I'm like, ugh, nope. So I'm thinking of myself as a business owner. How do I not pitch slap people? We don't want to do that. And you start human first. I had a woman that someone said, oh, you should reach out to this woman. And I said, okay. And I looked at her LinkedIn profile, and she is huge. She's a big deal. She has lots of followers. She's built an incredible company. And I'm thinking to myself, what do I say? You know? And I decided we're going to go human. I referenced her by name. I said, I love what you're building. This is why. I'm new on my entrepreneurial journey. This is what I'm trying to achieve. Really would just love to speak with someone who's been doing this longer than I have and learn if you care to share, and maybe I can share a little bit more about what I'm up to. Something like that. It was very human. She could probably read the nerves, you know, through the message. And I got on a call with this woman. She immediately responded and took my call, which I thought was wild. And she said, she said, Leslie, I get hundreds of these messages a day, as I'm sure you do too. The reason I responded to yours was because I could tell there was a human behind it. And we got on the call. She said that. I went to open my mouth. And she said, by the way, I've already researched your company. I love what you're building, and I want to figure out how I can incorporate it into my company. And I was like,
boom.
What? Like, who, me?
Yeah.
Like, and it came from being human. And I think that's the part people forget. When you're just doing biz dev, it's so easy to feel robotic, and it's so easy to just start sending the same message to people. Hey, you know what? You can do that. But it better be written so well that it reads extremely human. And that's going to get you so far.
Yeah.
What's your tactics for reaching out?
Well, first of all, that's a great story. And wow, good on you for just being you, you know, and making that connection. And she responded. That's marvelous. And I think the cornerstone for that is the very thing you said, 2 words, being human, right? When I'm in conversations, in networking events and so forth, I want to know who they are. You know, it's really important when you're talking to people to just listen. You know, I mean, we all want to kind of sell ourselves a little bit because we're trying to find a job or a new client or whatever it might be. It's so important just to listen. You know, people I know who are very experienced sales reps would tell you, listen to your customer, listen to your potential customer, because that will give you so much more credibility. And by the way, if you're listening carefully, you'll actually understand them, or you'll start to understand them.
And you'll know what to fix. People will tell you if you listen closely.
Absolutely. So listening is a very, very key part of any social interaction. That's not a giant wisdom thing. Everybody should be relatively aware of that. But I think the point is that when we're in that mode of I really need to find a job, or I really need to find a new client, or what have, listen. Listen to them, because that will get you there.
Absolutely. Let's pivot from business to the job market. And how does a candidate go about networking with people in their network, hiring managers, folks at companies they're targeting? And it's the same thing. We're going to sound like broken records, but it's being human. In our last episode, I said job seekers ask me all the time, why aren't my connections responding to me? I said, what are you saying? And they say, I want job.
Yeah.
No. Don't do that. There's a few things you can do in networking and just for your own visibility, specifically on LinkedIn. That's where I focus, to make sure you're standing out. First, start networking with folks at the companies you want to apply to before you apply. Even if they don't have a role open that door. Hey, so-and-so, it's been a while since we connected. Would love to catch up. Then you get them talking about themselves. And then at the end of that conversation, typically you can say, by the way, I am looking for a job. If you hear of anything, keep me in mind. Or, hey, I saw this role at your company. Boom, done. What about hiring managers, recruiters? We're posting stuff on LinkedIn all day, every day. What can you do? Send a connection request to the recruiter. That is very normal. Everyone freaks out. I don't want to do it. Do it. Go look at their network. Their network is probably thousands and thousands and thousands of people. That means they connect with the candidates. If you have a recruiter who maybe has like under 500, they might not be the type to accept a bunch of requests. Send it anyways. The most they're going to do is say no.
Yeah.
And we can all, or ignore you, actually. We can all handle a little bit of ghosting, I think. But send them a connection request. And if they like accept it, hey, I'm Leslie. I saw your role for X. Would love to apply. Leave it there. Leave it there. Do not follow up with the recruiters on LinkedIn every other day. You do not want to be bothering these people, because I guarantee you 85 other people are too, and they're going to be ignoring them. If you want to be a little stealthier, they're posting, just go like one of their most recent posts. Yes. Leave a comment. You can stay on their radar without messaging people. And I operate under all biz dev, networking, recruiting in the 3 messages tops. You send your connection request. If they accept and don't respond, send another message, maybe 3-4 days later. Hey, just wanted to check in, see how things are going. If they don't respond, give it another 4 to 5 days. Hey, I know that things can get busy. Like, I'll leave you alone, but if you ever want to chat, my door is open. And then stop.
You're doing a lot more on LinkedIn than I am, at least so far.
I don't know, Mr. Impression Count.
I may catch up with you. But the thing I notice in personal conversations, right, is I will never ask the question, hey, do you have a job for me? You know, I've a funny story about a fellow that used to call me on a weekly basis and ask me that. Anyway, I'll tell that another time. The point is that never ask for a job in that kind of situation. If the opportunity arises, I've been known to say, so how can I help you?
Most people will end with that, too.
What can I do to help?
Yeah.
You know, and even if they come back to you and say, well, nothing I can think of, they're going to walk away and say, wait a minute, I wonder, maybe he could help. So it's a useful phrase. Don't be afraid of it.
And for most people, that offer stands. So even if you reach out in a month, 2, 3 months to keep them warm, keep your network warm. Hey, you know, last time we chatted, you said you might be able to help. Here's this thing you can help with.
Right.
And it works.
It does. It does.
And I mean it too. When I'm networking with people and I say, hey, if there's anything I can do to be supportive, I also feel like I have to quantify it. I say, listen, I really mean that. It can be now, it can be in the future. Think about it, but my door is always open. And speaking of asking about jobs, though,
yes,
I was speaking with a former recruiter from a very large, well-known tech company. And she was way up there in the recruiting chain, and she was telling me one thing that is very annoying as a recruiter is when someone would message me, email, LinkedIn, whatever, and say, just send their resume over the wall and say, what would I be a fit for? As a recruiter, you all should have just seen Terry's face right now. Don't do that. Do not put the onus on the recruiter to find the job. Like, you should know. If you're going to reach out to them, I want the program manager role. Here's my resume. If they have hundreds of jobs open, she said, I won't even read those.
Yeah.
And in fact, I'm going to remember that person, and I probably don't want to be helpful.
Right. That's stunning. Amazing.
And I get that too, actually. I've had folks just send me just no context. Send me their resume. And I mean, I love helping job seekers. I'm passionate about it, but I'm like, what do I do with thanks? Thank you? So always have a little context, and don't make the recruiter work.
Final thoughts. There's so much more we could talk about networking. There are entire classes you can take on networking. There's books on the subject. We're going to just keep it simple. Say hello.
And be human. Got thoughts, hot takes, or questions? Email us at primalhrpodcast@gmail.com.
Stay connected with us on social. We're at Primal HR Podcast everywhere.
On our next episode, we are going to be covering a very important topic, mental health, specifically loneliness. We're going to talk about what's happening with it, some data supporting it, how it impacts the workplace, and different generations of people.
I think we all have stories to tell about feeling isolated over the last many years, and we're starting to see data now that speaks to it. So join us.
You've been listening to Primal HR. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Join the conversation on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook at Primal HR Podcast. Show notes and more at primalhrpodcast.com. Got a topic idea or want to join us on the show? Reach out at primalhrpodcast@gmail.com. We'll see you next time.